All right, today we're jumping into a huge topic, digital innovation. In a world that's just buzzing with new tech, how do you make sure the things you build actually work for people? We're going to break down something called design thinking, which is basically your roadmap to getting it right. Okay, let's dive in.
So let's start with a feeling I know you've had. You open a new app or you're on a new website, and you just think to yourself, who on earth was this made for? It happens all the time, right? So many digital projects, even with millions of dollars behind them, just completely miss the mark. They're clunky, they're confusing, or they solve a problem that nobody actually has.
To really get to the solution, we first need to get our terms straight. On one hand, you've got digital transformation. Think of that as the big picture, the destination, reimagining your whole business for the digital age. But how do you get there? Well, that's where digital innovation comes in. That's the engine. It's the journey. It's the actual process of creating the new things that get you to that destination. You really can't have one without the other.
And the challenges we're trying to solve today are not simple. They're what experts call wicked problems. They're messy, they're complex, they're all tangled up. Digital disruption is the perfect example of a wicked problem. The old ways of doing things, these step-by-step linear approaches, they just fall apart when the entire world can change right under your feet. It's kind of the villain of our story.
So if the old way is broken, what's the new way? Well, it's a huge mindset shift. The temptation is always to start with the shiny new technology. But the real answer, the hero of our story, is to start with people. It's about deeply understanding human needs first, and then figuring out what technology can help.
And this really brings us to the absolute core of design thinking, this radical focus on being human-centered. So let's dig into what that actually means when the rubber hits the road. A human-centered approach pretty much rests on three main pillars. First, and this is the big one, it puts what users actually need ahead of what's just cool or technically possible. Second, it's tailor-made to take on those wicked problems that require totally new ways of doing business. And third, it speeds up innovation that actually matters by making sure all your digital work is creating real human value.
Yeah, this isn't just some vague philosophy. It's a super practical process. Let's walk through the 5-phase journey of design thinking. Think of this as the hero's path, the step-by-step guide to solving those wicked problems we talked about.
So here they are, the 5 phases. You start with Empathise, getting into your user's world. Then you define the real problem you need to solve. Next up is Ideate, which is just brainstorming like crazy. After that, you prototype, building quick and dirty models of your ideas. And finally, you test those prototypes with actual people. But here's the most important part. This is not a straight line. It's a loop. You're constantly jumping from testing back to prototyping, or even all the way from testing back to redefining the problem as you learn new things.
I really want to double down on this first step. Empathy is the absolute heart of this whole thing. It is the one thing that separates creating something people will love from just guessing. This is where you have to get out of the building, watch, listen, and truly understand the world your users live in.
Okay, so once you have all those rich human insights, you get to the next crucial step, defining the problem. And this is so critical because so many projects with brilliant people fail, not because the solution was bad, but because they were solving the completely wrong problem to begin with.
There's this quote, and people often say it was Einstein who said it, that perfectly captures this idea. The quality of your solution depends entirely on how well you've defined the problem. If you rush this part, you're basically guaranteeing you'll build something nobody wants.
So here's a super simple but incredibly powerful tool to help you do that. It's called the how might we question. Let's just break down why this little phrase works so well. How automatically assumes there's a solution out there. Might gives you permission to explore all sorts of wild ideas. And we makes it collaborative, a team sport. It's amazing how it can turn a simple complaint into a really exciting creative challenge.
Okay, so you've understood the person, you've defined the right problem. Now for the exciting part. Let's look at how we turn all that insight into real, tangible impact in the world. This is where we start thinking with our hands. Instead of spending, 6 months building a perfect, polished product, you build really fast, really cheap prototypes. We're talking paper sketches, a few clickable screens, anything that makes the idea feel real. The goal here isn't to be perfect. The goal is to learn as fast as you possibly can. You want to fail early and fail cheaply so that you can succeed that much sooner.
And the results of working this way? They're just staggering. Get this.
By building and testing simple prototypes, teams can iterate on their ideas up to 10 times faster. That isn't a small tweak, that's a complete game changer in how quickly you can learn and improve.
And all that speed, it translates directly into saving a ton of money. I mean, it's way cheaper to find out an idea has a major flaw when it's just a sketch on paper than after you've spent months coding it. By catching problems this early, companies have seen costs go down by as much as 80%. It's incredible.
And here's the final punch. All that learning and all that saving means you're not just building a better product, you're getting it out to the world up to 3 times faster than your competition. That's a massive competitive advantage.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. The biggest, most successful companies on the planet have this way of thinking baked into their DNA. Think about Apple's legendary obsession with user experience, or how IBM completely transformed its culture, or how Nike so beautifully blends the digital and physical worlds. This is how they do it.
Okay, so we've seen the process, we've seen the incredible impact it can have. Now, how do you actually apply this? Let's chart out a roadmap for you to put these ideas into action.
After you've brainstormed a ton of ideas, you've got to figure out where to start. This matrix is a fantastic tool for that. On the vertical axis, you have user value. How much do people want this? And on the horizontal, you have technical feasibility and business viability. Can we build it, and does it make sense for us? The goal is to find that MVP sweet spot in the top right corner. MVP means minimum viable product, the absolute simplest thing you can build to start learning. The ideas in that sweet spot are the winners. That's where you start prototyping.
And this is so important to remember. Design thinking isn't a project you do once and then you're done. You're innovative now. No, it's a culture. It's a commitment to a continuous, never-ending journey of learning and adapting. Because guess what? Your users and the world are never standing still.
So if you walk away with nothing else today, please let it be these 4 things. 1. Put people first. Always. No exceptions. 2. Get your teams collaborating. Break down those silos. Great ideas happen at the intersections. 3. Prototype early and test often. Make your ideas real and learn as fast as you can. And 4. Iterate relentlessly. Never, ever stop improving.
And that really leaves us with one last question for you to think about. I want you to look at your own work, your own team, and ask this question honestly. Are we truly focused on solving the right problems for people? Or are we just busy building the newest, shiniest things? The answer to that, well, it could change everything.